Hello and welcome to Beginners Lesson 6. Last time we looked at the blend of two consonants, the P and the L. Today we're going to look at three vowels and how we blend those three vowels with the consonant R. So the three vowels are the full A, and he's a member of the Teeline family, we're going to call him Arthur. The O, that's the first time you've seen the O represented like that, and no doubt you'll be thinking that's an S. But for the first time we're going to look at it as an O as well. But don't worry, because I'm going to show you how you can't possibly get the two confused. And the U. So we're going to call these Arthur, Susan and Ursula. Now, when a word begins with one of those three vowels and that vowel is immediately followed by an R, we don't write the R. We represent the R by writing the next consonant inside that vowel. Sounds complicated, so let me demonstrate what I mean and then it becomes simpler. So let's take a word like art. It begins with the A, it's followed by an R, and so we write the next consonant, which is the T, inside the A. So I'll put it upstairs so that the T is on the T line. Full A, starting from the centre, write the T inside, and that becomes art. Now, if we didn't write that, we would have an A indicator followed by an R, and then the T would have to be disjoined, wouldn't it, after an upstroke? And that could look like a V, an R and a T. And in any case, it's quite awkward and long to write. So if we get rid of that, you'll see that outline is more concise. And we can carry on with derivatives of that word. So we can have artist and we can have artistic. And we can have artistically by just adding the I indicator, kicking the L out of it. So now it becomes clearer how we're going to use these blends with the vowels. So let's take the next one then, which is the O. So let's take a word like orange. So it's an O, followed by an R, and the next consonant is the N, so we write the N inside. So we do the O, the N, start to write it inside, then the N, and then the G, orange. If I have a word like organise, I can put the G inside, and then the N, and then the S. If I change that to organised, of course, you'll know that that S changes sides because the S would have to be outside the angle. So organised. So as soon as we glance at these words, we know that's AR something, OR something, etc. So now let's take the third and final one, the U. We're going to call this one Ursula, Ursula Teeline. And we're going to look at a word like urgent. So again, crucially, it begins with that U. It's followed by the R, and then the next consonant, which in this case is the G, is written inside the U. So we'd have the U, and the G goes inside, and then the N and the T. If I wanted to change that to urgently, I can kick the L out of words that end in ly, remember? So I can do urgenty, like so. So let me tell you a little story then, which will give you hopefully that little bit of confidence that you'll not ever get that O confused with the S. Twin girls were born and they were adopted at birth. One went to live in England and the other went to live in Australia. The one who lived in England was called Susan. And when she became 18, her parents asked her, what would you like for your birthday? There was only one thing she wanted. She wanted her parents to track down her twin sister and for her to be at her 18th birthday party. So they did. And when they met her, she was called Olive. They couldn't believe just how absolutely identical they were. Same height, same hairstyle, same everything. So the two parents got together and they bought them the same dresses, the same shoes, everything. When they turned up at the party, the guests were rubbing their eyes because they thought they were seeing double. So then one guest said, I know Olive is a chocoholic. If you notice, she's eating a lot of chocolate. I have never looked at Olive unless she's got some chocolate in her mouth. And she loves chocolate so much that when she puts that bar of chocolate in her mouth, she goes, ah. In other words, ah. So you have a word like OR. Let's put a lion bar in Olive's mouth, and you'd have ORL, for example, oral. This time, let's put a galaxy on Olive's tongue, ORG for galaxy. And then add the N, organ, ORGN, organ. But when you see Susan, she's never eating. Even though they're the same size, the same weight, everything, Susan's never eating. So if we had SGN, there's nothing in Susan's mouth at all. She's never eating. So you only ever see the O when there is something inside the circle. And it's the same with the others. The Teeline family have got two other chocoholics, and they are Arthur, and we've looked at him. He likes Twix, so there's Art. And Ursula, she also likes Galaxy, urgent. So when some chocolate is in Olive's mouth and she goes, we know we don't have to write the R because she's already making that sound. So some of you may like that story, others may find it's a little bit distracting, but whichever, if it helps you to remember that, then it's good. So let me dictate some words now, and you see if you can write them, starting with the A. So we've done art, so let's try article. Have a go at writing article. So we'd already practiced art, so all we've got to do is add the C and the L to make article. Next word is arm, A-R-M, arm. So it begins with A-R, so you write the full A, and the M goes inside it. This time it's not got a T in it, so I can put it on the line. Next word is army, A-R-M-Y, army. So you'll repeat arm, and the Y says I. Remember, down where possible, up where necessary, and it is necessary there in order to see that sharp angle. Okay, let's move on now to the O's. So we've had organise and we've had organised, so let's try ornate, ornate. So it's got a T in it, hasn't it? So I would go upstairs with that, and then the N inside, and then your T is on the T line, ornate. Now the language of Pakistan, Urdu. Oh, sorry, that's moved on to the U. Never mind, let's do the U. U, and then the D, and then a final U, Urdu. And because it's the name of something, it's a proper noun, I've got those two little name dashes underneath it, remember. A couple more then. What about ordeal? Ordeal. So you've got your OR, so your D goes inside, and then the L is joined on, ordeal. All right, so we're going to put some of those words in sentences, and as I compose these sentences, hopefully I'm revising things that we've done in previous lessons also. So sentence 1 is 10 words long. Actually, it's 11 words long, and I'm going to dictate it at 60 words a minute, so 11 seconds. Ready? Many people cheered loudly at the arrival of the royal party. Now, there was a lot of things to remember in there, so I don't expect you to have got it right that first time. For example, the first bit was many people, so we're writing MN, Y says I for many, so that's your first hurdle to overcome, remembering that the Y says I in many and writing it upwards. The next one is the PL blend that we did last time that says people. We could have written it on its own, just a PL blend, or we could have intersected it through the many. So many people, your people, some people, etc. That's how we can represent people. So we start then with that, many people. I'll just rub that off. The next one, cheered loudly. So cheered, the C would start upstairs, it's a teenager, H, R, and then you've got to remember to disjoin your T's and D's after upstrokes. So we know two upstrokes, the upward R and the upward L. You must disjoin the T's and D's afterwards. If you don't, you get a wide angle, which at speed could look like an L that's written upwards. We did upward L last time too. And so it's important to disjoin T's and D's after upstrokes. Loudly is L, D. We can kick the L out of it and just put the I. If you've included the L, it's still correct, remember, but the shorter you're writing, the faster you're writing. At the, two simple words, A on the T line, special outline for at, and then just join the H on for the. Anything that's something the, you can just put the H for the, at the. Arrival, now that's the new word for today. So Arthur, words that begin with AR, remember the V goes inside it. So I'm going to put A up there so that I can put the V and the L sitting on the line. But if you've done this, it's still correct. So it doesn't matter about the position. There's no T in it. It doesn't matter about that position. Arrival. Next, of the, again, special outline O on the T line for of and just the H for the. Royal, now this is where from last lesson we did the Y sound, so remember lips come forward in royal, so it's R, Y and L. And finally party, P, R, T, Y says I. So let's dictate that again, and this time hopefully you'll get more outlines correct. So still at 60, ready? Many people cheered loudly at the arrival of the royal party. So sentence 2, have a go at this one. Even if you only get little bits of it, it's good. Ready? Some people argued about their place at the barrier. So hurdle number 1 is putting that S inside the curve of the M, some, and then your PL through for people. Some people. New word for today, argued. The word begins with AR, so the G goes inside. So ARG, D. You don't need the U. If you were writing argue, you'd have the U there because the U would be a final vowel that sounded. The E, of course, being silent. But when you change it to argued, that both the U, any medial vowels, of course, are disregarded. So you just have the D at the end, argued. About there. Now you've got ABT for about. And you can do several things here. You can write there separately like that. You can write there separately like that, which is a long T, which says THR. Or you can do other alternatives. So you can do about there. So the T of about is also part of the THR of there. Or you could do about, where the T of about is also, this is also the T of there. So you've got one choice, two choices, 3 choices, 4 choices. Sometimes the more choices I give to you, the more complicated the whole thing seems. But once you've decided which you prefer, if you're going to use a long T for there, the word there, then from there on in, it's easy because you are going to just adopt that one. So I'm going to tell you which is my favourite, and my favourite would be about, and the T of about just carries on for there, about there. Next is the word place, and we only did this last lesson. So when PL comes together, remember when Paul and Lisa came together, we have the PL blend. So the child of Paul and Lisa looks like Lisa, but it's also dippy like Paul. So place would look like that. If you've forgotten and you've done the P and the upward L and then the C, because remember we go upwards L after tail letters, if you've forgotten, then that outline would indicate to a T-line writer that it's P vowel L C. So whilst again it's not wrong, it's better if you can remember that when PL comes together you use the PL blend. At the, again, comes up. That'll come up so often, won't it? And barrier is B, R and another R. So although you'll go flying into the line above, you can't help it in the word barrier. So some people argued about their place at the barrier. Let's do that again at 60. Ready? Some people argued about their place at the barrier. Now let's see if we can put those 2 sentences together. We've got 20 words. So let's see if we can do 20 seconds at 60. Ready? Many people cheered loudly at the arrival of the royal party. Some people argued about their place at the barrier. Sentence 3. Ready? He injured his arm as many people pushed to get to the front. So we start with H for he. Injured, I-N-J-R-D. Now because you can't really see where the N and the J joins, some people change the J to a G. So injured could look like this, I-N-G-R-D. It makes it clearer to read back. So it's an either or again. Injured. His, remember we're writing HS but we're sloping it the way the I goes for his. Arm, new word for today. AR comes together so the M goes inside. Injured his arm as, AS, many people. See, we're getting to grips with this now. We've written it 1 or 2 times, so it becomes easier the more you do it. Many people pushed. So P, big S for SH, and then the D, pushed. To get to the front. So T for to, GT for get, to the together, and front. FR blend like we do for 4, and then the N, and then the T. So he injured, either or, his arm as many people pushed to get to the front. Remember to the, we do the to, and then we can't just put that for the, otherwise it looks like the. So in to the, we've got 2 T's, which we can't join, of course, and then so we have to add that H, to the. Okay, let's write that last sentence again at 60. Ready? He injured his arm as many people pushed to get to the front. Now you can repeat that part of the video as many times as you wish, but now we've got 33 words. We're going to do 3 sentences, one after the other, at 60 words a minute, so 33 seconds. It's a really big test, but just do your best. Keep repeating it until you can get it all down at 60. Ready? Many people cheered loudly at the arrival of the royal party. Some people argued about their place at the barrier. He injured his arm as many people pushed to get to the front. I'm now going to dictate a short sentence. We're going to concentrate on these new words, the AR, OR and UR blend. So will you write, the article was glowing. So we start with TH for the article. We had that in the lesson. Was, S inside the curve of the W, anti-clockwise, and glowing, start with the G. L goes upwards after tail letters, then the W, and words that end in ing, remember, have that disjoined I, written downwards and very close to where the outline ends. So the article was glowing. Now let's write that again and again to get a little bit of speed. Ready? The article was glowing. The article was glowing. The article was glowing. In the next sentence, I've got the word players. We've not done this before, but if you're studying sports journalism, it's going to be a word that you're going to use quite a lot. So because we've already done the PL blend, we are later on going to concentrate on PL doubles for R. So that becomes player. So it's a PL, that's a normal L, but this time it's a doubled length to add R. So that's going to become player. So with players would have just an S at the end. So I'm going to give you that word in advance so that we can use it in dictation for sports journalists. So the next one then, the manager urged the players on. So the again, manager, M-N-G-R. Urged, new word for today, the G goes inside, and it's urged the, so you can just drop the H to make urge the. Players, the word I've just taught you, and on, remember those common words, you must practice them a lot. Remember how we decapitated the N, so we just did the O and part of the N, because it's such a common word we don't want to change direction all the time by going anti-clockwise and then clockwise. So the manager urged the players on. Let's write that again. The manager urged the players on. The manager urged the players on. And the third and final one, Arsenal played really well in the opening minutes of the game. So Arsenal then begins with the AR. I'm going to misalign so you can see it more clearly. AR. So then the S and the N goes inside. And remember from last week, the L goes upwards, not just after tail letters, but after H, M and N. So I've gone upwards with the L in Arsenal. Again, it's a proper noun, so the little dashes underneath to indicate such. Played, PL blend, and then add the D. Really, RL, Y says I. in the, nice and tall, opening, O-P-N, disjoined I for ing, minutes, let's put that upstairs so that the T is on the T line, of the, and game, GM. What a lot you've got to remember in that, haven't you? You've got to remember the new principle of the AR blend. You've got to remember the L upwards after the N. You've got to remember the PL blend. You've got to remember Y says I. You've got to remember simple word groups. You've got to remember disjoined I for ing. You've got to put that upstairs to get the T on the T line. Common word groups like of the, and finally that the only simple thing in the whole sentence was that word game. So don't be too hard on yourself if you've got some mistakes. Okay, let's put all that together then, all those 3 sentences together. You can pause the video if you like, and you can practice it after you've practiced these sentences repeatedly. Ready? The article was glowing. The manager urged the players on. Arsenal played really well in the opening minutes of the game. I just realised then that I missed out the word well, didn't I? So I got as far as really well in the opening minutes of the game. Sorry, I've missed out the word well the first time round. So as you repeat these, we're not only practicing the new theory, but we're also practicing the simple words like was, the simple words like game, and the simple groupings like in the and of the, etc., so that they will become so easy to you the more practice you do. So hopefully you're happy with your performance there. Just to finish off this lesson, there are some special outlines that relate to the theory I've just taught to you. So we've looked at the word arrange, where you have the N inside and the G. I haven't shown you the outline for that one because we're going to use a special outline for it. It's deemed as one of those words that we use so commonly that we need a special outline for it. And you'll remember ing, ang, ong, ung from last time. So we're going to do arang, like so, and that's going to be the special outline for the word arrange. And so derivatives of that then, adding the D, becomes arranged, and so on. We are going to be able to do things like arrangement, but we haven't got to word endings ending in ment yet. So just for the time being, concentrate on arrange and arranged. And if you'd like to write them down on your special outlines list, then they are things that you can practice daily. So hopefully you've enjoyed this lesson. Remember, repeat it as often as you need to become competent. And don't get worried. Don't get stressed. Let's love Teeline together.